Welcome, students. This is Mr. Hammond, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make your chassis for the egg crash car. You'll need 2 axles, 4 wheels, 2 eye hooks, a piece of wood, a piece of cardboard, and these other things you'll find at various stations. One station will have a hammering station with a nail and a hammer, and then you'll have a hot glue gun, which should be ready to go. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to draw a line down the middle of your cardboard. To do that, you're going to measure the middle of the cardboard, find the full length, divide that in half, find the middle, draw a dot or a slash on either end, and then connect those two together. That'll give you a line down the middle. You're going to want to do the same thing on the piece of wood. But in this case, you don't have to draw a line all the way down. Just putting a slash in the middle of the wood at either end is totally acceptable. Next, what you're going to do is you'll line up these lines. So I'm going to take this line here and line it up with this line here. I can do that by kind of looking, lining them up on that side, then holding this side very carefully. I'm going to do the same thing to this end. There we go. I'm lined up. Once you have it lined up, kind of do a double check, make sure it looks pretty good. Place it down, make sure you don't lose it's lined up. Don't lose what you've gained. There we go. And you're going to want to draw a line on either side. Trust me, this will make sense in just a minute. Of course, it would help if you had a better pencil than I do. There we go. I've got my line mostly on each end. Okay, when I remove it, yay, I see my 2 lines there in pencil. Now, why have I done this? Because when I put hot glue, I now know where to put my hot glue, and I can quickly put it in the correct location to ensure it's at the center. We want everything to be at the center as best as possible. That way the car is going to roll down the track at more straight and it won't wiggle wobble so much. All right, so now I take my hot glue. This is very important. We are not trying to cement this for permanency. We are going to put some hot glue on here, but we're not going to put so much hot glue on here that we can never get it apart. So I'm going to suggest that you just go ahead and do one thin line down the middle. Should be plenty for you to hot glue it. Maybe just one little dot here as well. And I'm talking tiny amounts. There we go. That should be just plenty. Probably too much, to tell you the truth. I'm then going to line it up. Once I've got it lined up, I press down hard. And I wait. After you've waited for about a minute or so, it should be pretty snug. When you pick it up, you should see that it sticks pretty well and it should be set up. That's perfect. All right. So now that I have the beginning of my chassis, this next step involves putting in these eye hooks. Now, the eye hooks are really important because the eye hooks are what, there's going to be a fishing wire or a wire that goes between the eye hooks, and it keeps your car on track or in line so it doesn't fall off of line or scoot off to the side. So we're going to go ahead and turn this over. Again, you're going to have to find the middle. And this part is fairly loosey-goosey in the sense that you can decide where you put your eye hooks. My suggestion is close to the end, but not so close that they're touching the end. So I'm going to pick a location, and I'm going to measure off a distance for myself. Try to keep it the same on both sides, and I'm going to mark that. And I'll come back in just a moment, and we'll talk about what that looks like. All right, this is what I've done. I've drawn a line down the middle, and then I've measured the exact same distance on each side from the outside in. I've picked an amount. I'm not going to tell you what that amount is because I kind of want you to decide on your own. And honestly, I don't know what would work best. I have some theories, but I'm not 100% sure. So this is what I'm going to do right here. The next step is we want to put these eye hooks in here. But if we just go trying to screw them in, it's not going to work too well because it's going to be hard to get it into the wood. It'll go through the cardboard well, not the wood. So we're going to get that started with a nail. The nail you just put over the dots that you've made, and you give them a little tap. You are barely going into the wood. You're just giving it a start so you're not starting from scratch with your eyelet or your eye hook. Same thing on the other side. There we go. Now I should be able to put my eye hooks in quite easily. I just begin screwing them in there. I'm going to want to screw them in almost to the very end. I'm going to leave a little space and I'll show you why. So that is almost all the way in. Perfect. Looks pretty good. And I can always screw it in more or screw it out some too to adjust. Now you see right there, there's a little bit of an opening. We're going to take some needle nose pliers and you're going to pull this slightly out. And I would suggest seeking out a teacher for some help with this if you're struggling. But you just literally grab the edge of this and pull out slightly with the needle nose pliers. When you are done putting in both eye hooks, you should have something that looks like this. I'll show you the side view. Do you see how I pulled that out some? That's what you need to do, and that's about perfect right there. I have them both in there, okay? So when you've got this done, you've almost got your chassis completely done. All right, in this next step, we're going to be adding the wheels. And I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. I really don't know which way is going to work the best, so it'll be a little bit of an experimentation on our part. The first way is you just cut your straw to be about the width. And then you put a little bit of glue. Now, you don't want to over glue this because if you want to make changes, you'll want to be able to do that. Plus, the glue will make the straw melt. Plus, if it comes out, you can always re-glue it back on. But if you've glued it too much, you won't be able to re-glue it back on. And I want to make sure that I get this very centered. I don't want this to be angled. I want this to be straight across an equal distance on both sides. You'd never want to have it tilted like this because that means it'd be turning your axle would be off kilter and your car would be going in a different direction or turning off to one side. Now, if you're unsure if this is enough, you could always put a piece of tape on here. If you need to add a little bit more glue, do it. Just remember, you get too much glue and it gets a little bit too heavy and too wacky. Then you take your wheels and axle and you just pull them apart. You slide your axle through. Put the wheel back on. And there you have it. Now the second way to do this, I'll show over here. This is a little bit more difficult. In this case, you're going to cut two maybe inch-long sections. Okay, that's about the same, pretty close. I'll cut that, trim a little bit more. And now what I'm going to be doing here is lining this up. Now, my goal is to not have any straw in the middle where that little wire or line's going to be. I need to cut a little bit more off here because I don't want that. See how this looks. Okay, I'm getting closer. Okay, that's looking better. Now in this case, I want to make sure I line things up really well. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line on either side of where I want the axle to be. In this case, I'm going to put the axle, I think, a centimeter away. So I'll put 1 centimeter away. And I'm just randomly guessing on this. There we go. So that's a centimeter away. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to draw it. Why does that not look like a centimeter away? One of mine was off. Not good. Proper measurement is important. Okay, here we go. So I want this straight across. That looks pretty even. Now I want to make sure my axle goes right across there, and I don't want it tilted. So here we go. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on each side. There we go. So here's glue for that first one. All right. It's going out a little bit, but I think I'll be all right. I can always snip that off. And here's glue for the other side. That did not, it's hard to do. Okay. Move that over there. It's looking pretty good. Okay, I want to make sure they're as even as I can get them. Okay, same thing. I'm going to snip this side clean. There we go. Putting in my axle. All right, I just made a chassis to the car. When you're done, you're going to test this out, go to a smooth floor, push it, see how it's rolling. There are a lot of factors can affect how it rolls straight. It could be how you have the wheels put on. It could be how these are situated. Most of the time when it's veering off to one side, that's because these are not straight, that they've been put down at an angle. So be aware of that. If it's not rolling straight, you may have to do some adjustment. But you want it as straight as possible as you can. And that's looking pretty good. All right, make sure you get that chassis built today. It's really important. Thank you so much.